Menglong case finally exposed. Alleged details about his friends revealed for months. The world believed that the storm surrounding Menglong had already reached its peak. His leaked videos, the hidden child, the endless speculation, the manager's trembling confessions, and even the haunting details of his final days all felt like the full weight of a tragedy too large for the public to bear. But what no one expected was that the epicenter of the entire saga, everything that had spiraled into chaos, grief, accusations, and heartbreak, was never truly about the footage, nor the scandals, nor even the star himself. It was about the circle around him, the people he trusted, the friends he fed, protected, lifted, and loved. The individuals who were supposed to be his shield but, as new explosive revelations now claim, may have been the architects of his ruin. What is emerging is not just a scandal. It is an earthquake, a shattering, world-shifting revelation that peels back the glittering surface of the entertainment industry and exposes a network that allegedly used Menglong's kindness as currency, his vulnerability as leverage, and his fame as their personal machine. These new details, whispered at first, are now roaring across every platform, every forum, every comment section like wildfire. And what they reveal is so shocking that even the most devoted fans, those who refused to believe he could ever be betrayed, are now left speechless, heartbroken, and furious all at once. According to insiders who have finally stepped out of the shadows, the group of friends that had surrounded Menglong for years was never as pure as the world believed. On camera, they appeared unbreakable, laughing together in variety shows, cheering at his concerts, visiting sets, comforting him during press chaos, and hugging him backstage. But behind closed doors, their loyalty was allegedly more strategic than emotional. Some were reportedly positioning themselves to tap into his popularity. Others allegedly used him as their ladder, climbing every rung built by his sweat, his privacy, and his reputation. And the most devastating claim of all is that several of these friends may have knowingly contributed to the events that led to his downward spiral, events that fans originally thought were the result of pure misfortune. What is now coming out is a pattern, a choreography, moves made behind his back, whispers traded in rooms he never entered, favors exchanged with people he never met. Sources claim certain friends had access to his private communications, private images, private messages, and personal affairs, and instead of safeguarding them, they allegedly distributed and sold fragments of his life to outsiders, hoping to profit either financially or socially. Every accidental leak, every mysterious source, every anonymous insider that fed the media a scandalous angle may not have been a stranger after all. The betrayal hits harder because it came from inside his home, his dinners, his late-night conversations, his circle of trust. Fans long speculated that some leaks felt too perfectly timed. Now, insiders allege that those timings were not coincidences at all. When Menglong was filming emotionally heavy roles, when he was juggling health challenges, or when he was recovering from family stress, those were the exact periods certain individuals allegedly pushed sensitive content into the hands of those who would know exactly how to twist it. It was sabotage disguised as bad luck. It was exploitation wrapped in friendship. Even his secret son, the revelation that had shattered the internet and left millions spiraling in confusion and disbelief, is now tied back to this circle. The new claim suggests that some of these so-called friends had known about the child long before the world did. Worse still, they may have weaponized this knowledge. Not out of concern for the boy or for Menglong's privacy, but allegedly to position themselves as indispensable in the drama. Flashes of the boy's existence were reportedly dangled as bargaining chips, pieces of his life shattered into profit. The tenderness of a father trying to protect his child became someone else's strategy for power. Even more chilling are allegations involving his finances. Despite outward appearances of success and stability, insiders say Menglong often expressed anxiety about money disappearing faster than he could understand. At the time, fans assumed it was because he was generous, supporting his family and caring deeply for those around him. But the new revelations twist that understanding into something sickening. Documents now allegedly suggest that certain friends were benefiting from his accounts, taking percentages disguised as fees, pocketing reimbursements meant for him, and routing profits from his work into channels he never authorized. It paints a devastating picture, one where the star who gave so much was being drained by the very people eating at his table. Then there is the manager, the man who already found himself in the public's crosshairs after the interrogation leak. In the new accusations, he is not alone. His circle within a circle, the associates who kept him informed, who managed access, who filtered messages and opportunities before they ever reached Menglong, are now being painted as part of a larger machine that shaped the narrative around the star. According to sources, their goal was not to protect him. It was to control him. Control his image. Control his decisions. Control the way the world saw him. And when Menglong grew wary, when he wanted space, when he began distancing himself to regain balance, those alleged friends reportedly panicked. Distance meant losing access, losing influence, losing the benefits they had crafted around him. The internet is now flooded with clips and screenshots that fans are connecting like puzzle pieces. Old interviews where certain friends cut him off mid-sentence. Videos where their smiles did not reach their eyes. Photos where he looked tired while they looked triumphant. Every moment is being re-examined under the harsh fluorescent light of betrayal, and the results are shocking. What once looked like companionship now looks like possession. What once looked like loyalty now looks like surveillance. One insider described a moment that has deeply unsettled fans. They recalled hearing one friend saying, He doesn't even know how much he needs us. At the time, it sounded like affection. Now, after everything, it sounds like control. Another insider revealed that there had been discussions among the group about managing the narrative if anything ever went wrong. And then things did go wrong. Horribly wrong. And instead of stopping the fall, instead of intervening to protect him, instead of stepping between him and the flames that were closing in from all sides, some allegedly fanned them. Because chaos made him weaker. And a weaker Menglong meant a more manageable Menglong. When the leaked hospital footage emerged, fans assumed it came from the reckless nurse who accidentally recorded him. But with the new allegations, some insiders now claim someone from his circle may have known about that video before the public ever saw it. Whether they played a role in its leak is still unknown, but the possibility alone has reignited anger across the world. People are furious not only because the footage exposed Menglong at his weakest, but because someone close to him may have benefited from watching him crumble. Even his funeral in Urumqi, the most sacred and heartbreaking event the nation had witnessed, is now being reinterpreted. Fans remember the manager trembling, the friends crying with shaking shoulders, the mother collapsing against his coffin in unimaginable pain. But now people are asking, how many of those tears were grief, and how many were guilt? How many were mourning the man, and how many were mourning the end of the life they fed from? The truth is not yet fully revealed. But what has come out so far already reshapes everything. Betrayal this deep rewrites timelines. It rewrites relationships. It rewrites memories. And for fans, it rewrites heartbreak. Because this was never just a story about leaks or scandals or rumors. It was about a man who trusted too widely, loved too generously, and never realized that the biggest danger in his life was not the media, nor the pressure, nor the expectations, but the people sitting closest to him. The exposure of Menglong's circle is more than gossip. It is a mirror reflecting the darkest parts of fame. It is a warning for every artist who believes loyalty is guaranteed by proximity. And it is a devastating reminder that sometimes the deepest wounds do not come from enemies, they come from friends. The revelations about Menglong's friends did not just expose betrayal, they cracked open an entire world of hidden motives, whispered schemes, and secret alliances that had been swirling around him long before the public ever suspected anything. As the investigation deepened, more details surfaced, and each new layer made the picture darker, sharper, and more painful, like a wound that kept reopening every time someone touched it. What stunned fans the most was how long this network around him had apparently been operating, not out of love or friendship, but out of calculated intention, waiting for the perfect moments to strike while staying close enough to avoid suspicion. One of the most shocking emerging stories came from someone who had worked with Menglong years earlier. This person revealed a scene so intense that fans could barely breathe while reading the account. It happened during a private gathering, long before any scandal surfaced. Menglong had pulled one of his closest friends aside and said in a quiet, almost trembling voice that he felt something in his circle had changed. The friend smiled, denied everything, clapped him on the back, and laughed it off as stress. But the witness said that the smile was wrong, too stiff, too forced, too eager to end the conversation. They remembered the way Menglong's expression tightened afterward, like he knew the truth was somewhere near him but couldn't reach it. That moment, insignificant at the time, now feels like the first warning sign, the first spark of the fire that would later burn his life down. Other insiders described scenes even more unsettling. At events where Menglong should have been the center of attention, certain friends would quietly steer conversations away from him, ensuring that opportunities slipped through his fingers. They were subtle, careful, strategic. A producer would approach enthusiastically, praising Menglong's work and expressing interest in casting him, only for a so-called friend to pull the producer aside minutes later, whispering that Menglong was too busy, unreliable, or not the right fit right now. By the time Menglong realized he'd been dropped from the project, his friends were right there with sympathetic smiles and comforting words, pretending they were just as surprised as he was. Those scenes now play differently in the minds of fans, more like a trap than support, more like sabotage wrapped in softness. One of the most chilling accounts came from a staff member who claimed they had once seen a group of Menglong's friends crowded around his unlocked phone while he was in another room. Instead of respecting his privacy, they were allegedly scrolling through his messages, photos, and notes, making jokes, taking screenshots, and discussing which personal details could shake the internet if they ever decided to leak them. The staff member said Menglong walked back into the room mid-whisper, and everything went silent instantly. His friends acted like nothing had happened. He laughed with them again. He trusted them again. And now the world knows that the silence in that room was not innocence. It was fear of being caught. As more scenes from his life come to light, a pattern emerges. The night before one of his biggest scandals broke, Menglong reportedly sat at a late-night restaurant with two of these so-called friends. Witnesses say he looked exhausted, pale, and drained. He kept rubbing his forehead like he was trying to push away something heavy pressing against him. One friend reassured him that the coming week would be calm, that no more bad news would hit the internet, that everything was under control. But fans now know that the very next morning, one of the brutal leaks spread across platforms, destroying his peace completely. The timing was too perfect, too calculated, too cruel. And the memory of that soft reassurance the night before now feels like a knife disguised as comfort. There were also moments when Menglong tried to distance himself. Insiders claimed he expressed a desire to take a long break, disappear for a while, rebuild himself in silence, and regain the life that was slipping through his hands. But every time he voiced that idea, his friends allegedly panicked. They would show up unannounced, dragging him out to events he never wanted to attend, convincing him that his career needed the exposure, that his fans needed him active, that stepping back would ruin everything. But what they were truly afraid of was losing access to his fame, his money, his network, his influence. Instead of supporting his healing, they allegedly pushed him deeper into the spotlight, knowing the pressure would keep him dependent on them. Another insider described a scene during one of Menglong's emotional breakdowns, a rare moment where he lost control in front of people he trusted. Instead of comforting him, one friend quietly recorded the moment on their phone. That footage was never released publicly, but fans are horrified at the idea that such a recording even exists. It means that even his most vulnerable moments were treated as opportunities. It means that every tear he shed may have been watched not with empathy, but with calculation. As these revelations continue to swirl across the internet, fans are piecing everything together like detectives. Old photos are being re-examined. Old interviews watched frame by frame. Old live streams replayed with fresh eyes. And in each of those moments, subtle hints of discomfort, of tension, of manipulation are becoming clearer. Scenes that once looked normal now feel heavy with hidden meaning. A tight grip on his shoulder during a press event, a forced laugh when a friend made a strange comment, a half-second hesitation before he answered a question. All the signs were there. No one saw them. What is devastating is the realization that Menglong didn't fall because of fame, pressure, or misfortune. He fell because the hands he held onto were the same hands pulling him down. And what the world is now learning, painfully, slowly, through each new revelation, is that betrayal from strangers cannot compare to betrayal from friends.